Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's sister tries to kill her dog. Am I the butthole for refusing to babysit my sister's miracle baby after what she did to my dog? So, my 32-year-old sister had a baby last year after years of struggling with infertility. We were all happy for her. She called him her miracle baby, and honestly, I didn't mind the attention he got until things got weird. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I have a golden retriever named Benny. He's 5 and the sweetest boy alive. Everyone in the family loves him. Even my sister used to, until the baby came along. One time, I brought Benny over when I visited. He stayed on his mat, didn't bark or even move. The baby started crying, and my sister went, "I think he's making the baby nervous," and asked me to put the dog outside in the middle of winter. I said no and left early. That was strike one. Next time I saw her, she told me straight up that she didn't want Benny around her son because he's a dog. I said, okay, whatever, and stopped bringing him. But I could tell something shifted. Then, one day, I was out of town for a weekend, and my sister begged me to let her stay at my place because hers was getting fumigated. I agreed, thinking it was chill. I came home Sunday night. Benny is hiding under the bed, trembling, looking all scared. I found out that she locked him in the laundry room for 2 days straight because he was staring too much, and that made the baby fussy. No food or water bowl, just locked him up. I lost it. I told her she was never setting foot in my house again, and that she was lucky I didn't call animal services. Fast forward a month, she's going back to work, and suddenly I'm her first choice for free childcare. She wants me to watch her baby 2 days a week. I said no. She flipped and called me bitter and selfish. She said I clearly don't understand what it means to love family unconditionally. My mom got involved and said that I'm being cruel when I could be helping. Okay, well then why doesn't she watch the baby? But this isn't just about a dog. It's about how she treated something I love without remorse, and now expects me to drop everything and help her like nothing happened. I don't know too much about dog survival rates, but 2 days without water, I think we're actually reaching potential death territory. How long can a dog survive without water? 72 hours, 3 days. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the cutoff here. You may have come home to a dog corpse due to her remorseless behavior. Actually, this one says 48 and 72 hours, so it could have been any minute. Even without the dog thing, you're still not obligated to be her free babysitter. With the dog thing, you're even more justified. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your sister 4 out of 5 buttholes. Yo, it's a golden retriever. Famously, the friendliest, sweetest dogs ever to be born. They're mild, they're gentle, they're caring, they're intelligent, they're friendly. Who has beef with golden retrievers? Am I the butthole for accepting a big inheritance from my grandma and telling my dad that him and his family are monsters, like she said? My grandma died in 2024. I'm a 23-year-old guy, and I'd lived with her since I was 17 and had taken over a lot of bills and stuff in the last year before Grandma died. It was sudden. I was also no contact with my dad and stepfamily. Grandma was no contact with them too. For background on how and why we got here, my mom left when I was only a few months old. She changed her mind about having me and left me with my grandparents, meaning my dad's parents. My dad was in the military at the time, and he retired after that deployment and took me home with him. Then, my grandpa died a year later, so I don't remember him. My grandma continued helping out my dad. When I was 5, my dad told me that he'd met someone, and she had kids a little bit older than me, and they wanted us to be a family. He got me really excited to have a mom and siblings. I don't even remember all the lead-up stuff. But the first time I was meeting them, I remember my dad saying our family was growing that day. And the first time we met went okay, but it was downhill after that. The second time we met, my step-siblings ignored me, and when me or dad were mentioned, they had tantrums. We moved in together after that. So we'd only met twice and suddenly all lived together. Then the wedding took place a month later. It was very low-key with hardly anyone there. But I remember my 2 oldest step-siblings pushed me to the floor because the 5 of us were supposed to be getting ready in the same room and waiting for the parents. But my step-siblings didn't want me with them. What happened at the wedding wasn't an isolated incident, and they bullied and abused me a lot. My dad and stepmom did nothing to stop it. They'd tell me that it was hard for my step-siblings, and they lost their dad, and sometimes it made them a little angry, but they would never hurt me intentionally. Except they did, both physically and emotionally. My dad and stepmom started getting annoyed with me because I'd go crying to them about it. My grandma stepped in multiple times and tried to talk sense into my parents, especially my dad. He told her that he had met the love of his life and wouldn't end the marriage for anyone. She pointed out that I needed him and I had no one else. He said that was BS and I had a mom now. Grandma said that I would never be equal in her eyes to the older kids who were my stepmom's biological kids. Dad said that's just how it works. Grandma said, "Not with you, apparently," which my dad resented. My grandma tried to take me more to make up for it, but my dad and stepmom protested and refused to allow it because it meant excluding my step-siblings. Meanwhile, my step-siblings would tell me if I couldn't live with grandma, it was sad that my mom didn't get rid of me before she left my dad. My grandma actually called CPS on my family, and that didn't actually result in being no contact, which still surprises me. Nothing was done by CPS, despite them saying my dad and stepmom needed parenting classes, and warning that if I kept getting hurt, I'd be removed. They made the threat, but didn't follow through. Then came a day when we were all at my grandma's house. I was 11 at the time, and my step-siblings would have been 13, 14, 16, and 17. One of them shoved me really hard because I wanted to sit in the only free chair and it was next to them. Grandma went off on them, which set my stepmom off. Then Dad defended his wife and stepkids. And it all came to a stop because Grandma called my step-siblings little monsters who shouldn't be allowed around other kids because they liked beating them up. Grandma refused to apologize, and as my dad and stepmom were forcing us all to leave, which means forcing me to leave, Grandma said they were all monsters, and she told Dad that he was not coming back from that moment. My dad and stepmom stopped me from seeing my grandma for years. I only got back in touch with her a week before I moved out. They called the police and tried to drag me back and accused my grandma of abusing my step-siblings. But I got to stay with my grandma and no charges came from any of the accusations. That brings us back to today. When Grandma died, she had a strong will in place. She left my dad $100. That was the minimum she could leave him so that he couldn't sue for the rest, which she gave to me. I got Grandma's house, which was my dad's childhood family home. I got the rest of her money, her and Grandpa's sentimental possessions, and she had some investments too. My dad tried to go after it, saying as her only child, he should get everything, but her will stopped it. She left nothing to his wife or her kids. So then they started contacting me. At first through lawyers and then on socials, saying I should be dividing it evenly and giving Dad what he deserves. Then shaming me for accepting it when she excluded my siblings. My dad even tried coming to the house to talk, and when he started to shame me for accepting it when she disrespected our family, I told him she was right and they were all monsters and that they didn't deserve anything. I only made him more mad. And I'm mostly questioning what I said because I feel like I made my life harder. So, am I the butthole? OP, clearly the best solution here is to just cut off your family, if you can even call them your family. Go no contact and just enjoy the rest of your life. They're a toxic influence, every interaction is going to be negative, so just move on, my dude. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Grandma gets like negative buttholes in this story. She's a saint. I'm giving your parents, in quotation marks, 3.5 out of 5 buttholes, maybe 4. Am I the butthole for outing my closeted uncle after he shamed me for being gay at a family dinner? I'll clarify that yes, the aunt mentioned is Dave's wife. She didn't know that I was gay, but she never supported me either when his insults came my way. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I came out to my family at 20. Most were cool, but my uncle Dave, who's 45, has always been weird about it, constantly making comments like, "You don't have to act so gay," or "When I was younger, men kept that to themselves." I shrugged it off, until last week. At a family dinner, Dave started going off about how pride parades are just perverts wanting attention, and how real men don't flaunt it. When I called him homophobic, he smirked and said, "Your generation's obsessed with labels. Why can't you just be normal?" Here's where I might have been the butthole. I'd suspected that Dave wasn't straight for years. He's always been oddly fixated on my dating life, and once I even spotted him on Grindr. I recognized his torso tattoo in a very not safe for work pic. I never said anything until now. I snapped. "That's rich coming from a guy who's on Grindr every weekend. How's that working out for you?" Silence. Then my aunt gasped that she had no idea. Dave went pale, knocked over his wine glass, and left. Later, my mom texted me, "You humiliated him. Was that necessary?" Some family members are on my side, but others say that outing him crossed the line, even if he is a butthole. I'm torn. He's been nasty to me for years, but I know how dangerous it is to out someone. So? Don't be a bully! Why do we only care about the bully's feelings in these stories? The bully can harass and harass and harass and harass, and then finally OP stands up and, "Oh no, we have to be considerate of other people's feelings." OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your gay uncle gets 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for demanding to go through my brother-in-law's and his girlfriend's bags if they're staying with us? I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the emergency room. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one is allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house ever, no matter what. So my brother-in-law started dating his girlfriend a year and a half ago. They came to visit us together for the first time a year ago. My fiancé made sure that my brother-in-law explained my allergy to his girlfriend and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she brought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the emergency room because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained that she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have and want to keep a good relationship with my brother-in-law. The two of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with my brother-in-law and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room that she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is and how I ended up in the emergency room, she still brought dairy into our house. I confronted her when they got back. She and my brother-in-law had a huge fight. My brother-in-law went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy. We kicked out his girlfriend. My brother-in-law stayed for the rest of the planned trip. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, my brother-in-law has come alone since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, my brother-in-law is planning a new trip to visit us, and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first, we just said no, we don't trust her. But since we know this is important to my brother-in-law, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we'll look through her bags every time she comes back to our place. And if she doesn't accept that, then she can stay at a hotel or stay home. Now I'm being called a butthole for treating her like a criminal and that checking her bags is an invasion of privacy. So am I the butthole for demanding to go through her bags if she's staying at my house? I've got to say, this does not feel like an accident to me. How hard is it to go without dairy for a week? The behavior she's showing is like that of an addict. Sneaking cigarettes into the house when she's not supposed to have cigarettes so she can smoke out the window, or sneaking in alcohol because she's addicted to alcohol. But it's milk. No one's that obsessed with milk. So the fact that she would go out of her way twice to go behind your rules and smuggle in dairy suggests to me that she just doesn't like you, or she doesn't like the rules, and she's rebelling against it just because she's that type of person. In any event, OP, I would never let this woman inside my home again. Are you really trying to get yourself killed over this woman's love of milkshakes? You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving this woman 3 out of 5 buttholes. Also, OP posted an update where she explains that the brother-in-law dumped the girlfriend specifically because of this milk thing. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.